Hey everyone, welcome back to BrowncoatNerd. Today we just got a short video, another follow-up in our Glock 43 upgrades. This time we will be looking at the first holster I had purchased for this gun, and that is a Comp-Tac Victory Gear. Here's the little plastic bag it came in, along with some sweet tarts. Had some candy in there. There's their contact information, if you care to do so. This was a fairly cheap holster. I want to say I ended up spending like between 30 and 40 bucks. Not very much at all. And I specifically wanted this style of kind of hybrid holster here. Mainly because when I first started carrying, that was the holster that I had used. But I needed to replace that gun. When I first started carrying, I was using a Polish P64, which is kind of a little small baby Makarov. Pretty heavy, but it was about the size of this Glock 43 here, probably even thinner. Anyways, so when I first started carrying, I just got used to that style of holster, and I absolutely loved my holster I had in that. I do show it in my review of the P64 if you're curious. I believe it was a SHT. It is the play on, when the S hits the fan. They ended up changing their name to something else, but they made a lot of holsters for a wide variety of pistols, and that was one they made it for. And it was a great little Kydex hybrid holster. So I'd always kind of been used to that. So when I got my Glock, I wanted to stick with that. And to my surprise, when I was looking around online, I don't know if I'm just punching in the wrong search words, but there was really not a lot of hybrid Kydex holsters. I was getting a lot of the, all Kydex holsters popping up. But I really wanted some of this leather on there. I just really like how that kind of fits around your body. I'm a little bit more of a chunky fellow, so maybe that's why it works better for me. But anyways, I ended up getting this one not because it was the cheapest or most affordable, but really because it was like the only thing I could find, especially one that would accept the TLR6. And as you can see, it is marked G43 as well as TLR6 because I need one for my TLR6. Also, I will point out I have updated the sights finally. I'll have a video on that shortly. But you got plenty of room for larger sights. I mean, even these sights, you still got a lot of room. So that is not going to be an issue with this, which was very nice. Like I said, it was 30 to 40 bucks. I wasn't expecting too much. For that money, I will say it was about what I expected. The first thing I noticed, and that kind of concerned me, was this screw here. I have not messed with these screws other than this one to tighten it down just a little bit. But this one here, looks like when they first assembled it, they almost stripped it out. So, and when you rub your finger across it, you can feel all kinds of metal pushed up. So that was pretty sloppy and clumsy, if you ask me. This one feels fine. This one's fine. But as soon as I saw that, I was kind of like, huh. Oh boy, here we go. I never really had any issues carrying this. This retains it very well. You can't see it starting to slide out there. Like I said, I did tighten this up just a little bit, but not too much. I didn't want, to have to go for it and pull up my britches along with it. And obviously there's no mag in here, so that's, a little bit lighter with that too. But with some wiggles there, and actually if I were to keep using this, doing this test, I might tighten it up just a little more, but not much, because you don't want it, completely clamped down on there. You want to be able to pull it out. But carrying this, using it, I never had any issues with the Glock coming loose. One of my big concerns were these all plastic clips here. Now, obviously they didn't break, as you can see. They're still solid. I did only use this holster for about 3 months before switching to the holster I have now. It's probably pretty much just going to be what I stick with. Obviously, I'll have a video on that later. One of the big issues I did have with this is, and I'm sure if I just took some sandpaper or something, take a blade to it a little bit, but the edges of the leather here, in certain spots, it's just a little rough. And it wouldn't constantly bugged me, but it seemed like every once in a while I could just kind of feel that rubbing on there, and I never ended up getting to a point where I had like a rash or a sore from it. And I did a decent amount of walking around with this, not like I ran a marathon or anything, but it still was just kind of a little annoying. Other times I didn't notice it at all, and I don't feel like I was getting used to it. Because I remember at one point I was thinking almost, oh, I must have just naturally just a slight edge on here, naturally just rubbed it down just enough where it was no longer a nuisance. And like the very next day, it was rubbing on me and being rather annoying. But at the same time, I feel like that could have been an easy fix on my part. I never really did anything with it. I was kind of curious because, like I said, it was very subtle. I was just kind of curious if it might just kind of go away on its own. Also, I kind of had a feeling I was going to replace this guy with a completely different style of holster. It's not a hybrid holster. So I wasn't too concerned about really doing anything with it. And like I said, it wasn't that much of an annoyance. But yeah, these all plastic clips, those just concern me. The hybrid holster I had for my P64, these were metal. And I used that holster for years and years. And I never had any issues. Every once in a while I'd have to tighten down the screws on that old holster. That was the only issue. And like I said, this guy only got about 3 months use before I switched to something else. So I didn't get a whole lot of wear and tear on it. But I do definitely feel like this is going to be your first breaking point of these clips. I mean, and there's times where I was, getting this on and I kind of pulled them out quite a bit, especially once I knew I was going to be upgrading this. And I mean, they never did break on me. I would have a feeling if they did break, I have no clue how good Comp-Tac's customer service or warranty department is. But I would assume that is something that they would replace. Another thing, I do wish I had 2 screws on this bit here, because over time these would pivot. And if you got 2 screws in there, that just kind of helps reduce any issue of that. At the same time, once I got it on inside my pants and around the belt, it was kind of locked into place. So I never really had an issue. Every once in a while when I'd pull this out, one of these would get twisted or something, and before I put it back on, I'd just, twist it back into place. It was never something when I was wearing it I was having to fiddle with it because it was, getting jarred or anything in one way or another. I do believe this is how it came up too. I know I did not mess with that screw. And I didn't really end up doing any adjustments. Once I had this on, I liked the angle that everything was at. So I just left it as it was. Now, like I said, the only reason I ended up going with the Comp-Tac for the 43 with the TLR6, the hybrid style holster like this, it was really kind of the only one I could find, so I didn't have much of a choice. Once again, like I said, it wasn't very expensive. And I have to say, even the 3 months that I was using it for a $30 to $40 holster, I am happy that these did not break. I don't want to say I'm impressed with that because, it's they shouldn't break after only 3 months. But it just seemed like a weak part. I'm assuming that they probably used, a decent quality polymer on that. So I just wanted to bring that to you if you guys are looking for a specific hybrid holster like this and you're coming across the Comp-Tac. It's okay. I did purchase this probably almost 2 years ago. I can't remember when I purchased the Glock. It's been more than a year since then, but I purchased this immediately afterwards. So I don't know if they've done any upgrades to their holster since then. I kind of looked around trying to get information on the company too before I placed my order. Not a whole lot of info out there on them. And you also might get some free sweet tarts when you order yours too, as I did. They threw some in with the packaging. So yeah, sure. I guess they felt bad for stripping out that screw there. But you definitely get what you pay for. It's nothing special. It will do. I don't want to say, get one of these and if it breaks after a year of use, oh well, just get another one. That's just kind of throwing away money. And I guess I'm just old-fashioned because these aren't very popular holsters, I guess, anymore. There's just a whole bunch of the solid Kydex holsters out there. But if any of you guys do know of a good hybrid holster like that, let me know. Like I said, I have since replaced this with a different holster, and it's a completely different setup. It's not like one of these. I know I got to build up that suspense, right? But I still would like to have this style of holster on hand, I guess. Once again, that's probably just me going back to that's how I started carrying, so I'm kind of used to it. It might be something I don't really need, but I'm just kind of holding on to that familiarity, the familiarness of the original style of holster I had used when I first started carrying. But anyways, that's really all I've got for you on the Comp-Tac. It's not great. It's not horrible. It's worth about 30 to 40 bucks. So there you guys go. I hope this was helpful. If you did like it, please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, I cannot talk. Stay safe and stay shiny.